The swing under the starry sky. In a quiet village lived a little boy named Rio. Rio loved gazing at the stars, and every night he would climb the small hill behind his house to look at the twinkling night sky. He especially loved the moment when a shooting star streaked across the heavens, and he always looked forward to making a wish. One evening, Rio headed to the hill earlier than usual. The sky was clear, and countless stars shimmered brightly. When he reached the top, he looked up at the stars and let his heart settle. Then, something caught his eye. An old swing standing on the hill, swaying gently in the wind with a soft creaking sound. Curious, Rio approached the swing. I wondered who used this swing, he thought as he sat down on it. Suddenly, the swing lifted softly into the air, startling him. Nervously, he began to pump his legs, and the swing rose higher and higher, soon soaring beyond the hill and into the sky. Rio felt the wind rush past him as he glided between the stars. Is this a dream? He wondered, but the breathtaking starry sky before him felt undeniably real. The swing danced among the stars, and Rio became friends with many of them. One star spoke to him. Hello, Rio. I'm serious. I'm so happy you found me. Surprised but delighted, Rio replied, Hello, Sirius. You're so bright. Sirius smiled warmly. We stars can hear your wishes. What do you wish for? Rio thought for a moment before answering. I wish for a world where everyone is happy and smiling. Hearing this, Sirius called upon the other stars to help make Rio's wish come true. The stars agreed, glowing brightly as they swirled around him. Watching them, Rio felt warmth fill his heart. After a while, the swing began to descend back to Earth. Though reluctant to leave, Rio prepared to return. When the swing landed on the hill, he waved gratefully to Sirius. Thank you, Sirius. I'm so glad I met you and the other stars. That night, Rio fell into a peaceful sleep, dreaming of his adventure on the starry swing. In his dreams, he played with the stars again and imagined himself working hard to make his wish come true. The next morning, Rio woke up and thought about what had happened. He decided to take small steps to fulfill his wish, playing with the neighborhood children, helping those in need, and doing whatever he could to bring happiness to those around him. The memory of his adventure on the starry swing stayed alive in Rio's heart. Every time he looked up at the night sky, he believed Sirius and the other stars were watching over him. When the sky filled with stars again, Rio climbed the hill, dreaming of riding the swing once more. The bond between him and the stars had taken deep root in his heart. And no matter what, he knew the swing under the starry sky would always be there, giving him courage. That night, too, Rio played with the stars in his dreams, continuing to paint a world of happiness. Little by little, his wish came true, and the people in his village began to live with more smiles. Rio's adventure had begun on that one magical night when he rode the swing under the stars. And in his heart, the stars would shine forever. The end.
Little Bear's Bedtime. Once upon a time, in a deep forest, there lived a little bear named Coco. Coco was full of energy and loved playing with his friends. Every day, he would run around the woods, discovering colorful flowers and adorable insects. But when night fell, Coco always felt a little uneasy. One evening, Coco said to his mother, "Mama, I can't sleep when it gets dark. I feel scared being all alone in the forest at night." Mama Bear smiled warmly and replied, "Don't worry, Coco. The night might seem scary, but there are so many wonderful things about it, too." Coco looked up at her nervously. "What wonderful things?" Mama Bear tucked Coco into bed and pointed outside. First, look up at the night sky. The stars are watching over us. Coco peered out the window and saw countless stars twinkling above, some big, some small, each one shining like a tiny smile just for him. They're so pretty. Do the stars really keep us safe? Coco asked, feeling a little calmer. Yes, Coco, Mama Bear said. The stars guard us from above, and the moon joins them too. Sometimes the moon sends us its gentle light. Coco looked up again and saw a big round moon peeking through the clouds. Its soft glow made his heart feel warm. Mama, the moonlight is so kind. Coco whispered. Mama Bear continued, and if you listen carefully, the night forest has its own quiet music. The whisper of the wind, the distant trickle of the river, and the tiny voices of the insects. Coco held his breath and listened. The wind rustled the leaves, the river hummed far away, and little bugs chirped softly. It's so peaceful. I never knew the night could be this lovely, Coco murmured. Mama Bear smiled. That's why you don't have to be afraid. The forest is always with us, full of friends who watch over us. The stars, the moon, the wind, the river, and even the little bugs. Coco's heart felt lighter. Mama, can I stay up just a little longer? Of course, Coco, Mama Bear said. We can talk or just watch the stars together. After a while, Coco asked, will you tell me more about the stars? So Mama Bear began a story. See those bright stars? They form a shape called the Big Dipper. It's a bear just like us. Coco's eyes widened. It really does look like a bear. That's amazing. Mama Bear chuckled. And all those little stars, each one has its own story to tell. If you listen closely, they might whisper their secrets to you at night. As Coco imagined the stars' tales, his eyelids grew heavy. Mama Bear stroked his fur gently, and before he knew it, he drifted into a deep, peaceful sleep. That night, Coco dreamed of dancing among the stars. The moon smiled, the wind sang, and the forest hummed a lullaby. He laughed with his animal friends under the silver glow, realizing the night wasn't scary at all. It was magical. When morning came, sunlight tickled Coco awake. Good morning, Coco, Mama Bear said. Coco grinned. Mama, the night is beautiful. Tell me more stories tonight. And from that day on, Coco never feared the dark again. He knew the stars, the moon, and the whole forest were his friends, keeping him safe as he dreamed. So the little bear closed his eyes each night, wrapped in moonlight and love, and slept soundly until dawn. The end.
Leo and his forest friends. Once upon a sunny day, a little boy named Leo sat by the sparkling, whispering river. He had hair like sunshine and knees that were always a little bit muddy from his adventures. The river was his favorite place in the whole wide world. It was a long, wiggly ribbon of water that sang a soft song as it hurried past. On one side of the river was the big, leafy ebonwood forest. Its trees were so tall they tickled the clouds. And way, way in the distance, perched high on a rocky hill, was Stonehaven Castle. It looked like a giant's forgotten sandcastle, all gray and quiet. Leo was having a wonderful morning watching his friends. A little kingfisher with feathers as blue as the summer sky and a chest as orange as a juicy peach was playing a game of catch. Zip! It would flash past a streak of bright color, and then splish, it would dive into the water. Every time, it came up with a tiny silver fish. "Good catch," Leo whispered, clapping softly. Down by the riverbank, a family of otters was playing. They were so silly. They would slide down the muddy banks and splash into the water with a joyful whee! Then they'd chase each other in a tickling game, their sleek brown bodies twisting and turning in the bubbly river. Leo giggled, trying to guess which otter was which. High above, in the thick branches of an old oak tree, sat a wise old owl. He wasn't asleep, oh no. His big round eyes were watching everything, and he would hoot a gentle hoo-hoo to let everyone know he was keeping a watchful eye on his forest. Everything was peaceful, a quiet symphony of chirps and splashes. But then, a very loud sound came from the castle. Clang, clang, clang. It was the castle's big bell, ringing its loud, booming voice across the valley. The otters stopped their game and poked their little noses out of the water, looking surprised. The kingfisher flew up to a tall branch, shaking his head as if to say, "My goodness, what was that?" Even the wise old owl huffed a little, ruffling his feathers. But Leo just smiled. He knew the castle wasn't being mean. It was just being itself. Just like the kingfisher made its tiny splash and the otters made their bubbly whee, the castle made its big boomy clang. Every part of his world had its own special voice. As the sun began to dip low, painting the sky with colors of pink and orange, Leo felt very happy. He had his friends in the river and the forest, and even the big noisy castle was a part of his story. He knew his world was full of different sounds and sights, and that's what made it so very wonderful.
The little robot who collected dreams. Once upon a time, high above the clouds, there was a tiny star called Eumerium. On this star lived gentle little robots called dream collectors. Every night, they floated down to Earth to gather the dreams of sleeping people. Among them was a small brand new robot named Miru. Miru had never gone dream collecting alone before, but tonight, for the very first time, it was his turn. "Don't be scared," said his older friend, a robot named Toto. "Dreams are soft and warm and very fragile. You have to hold them gently." Miru took a deep breath and soared quietly through the stars until he reached a peaceful town on Earth. He floated above the rooftops where children slept soundly in their beds. He landed landed gently on one house and peeked into the first dream. It was a sad one. A little girl was lost in a dark forest. She was crying, calling out for someone to find her, but no one came. Miru moved in close and used his soft, dream-catching hands to scoop the dream gently into his heart. It's okay now. You're not lost anymore. Suddenly, the dream began to glow. The girl smiled, and her mother appeared, wrapping her in a warm hug. The next dream was a strange and funny one. A boy was flying through space on a giant pancake. He zoomed past chocolate planets, bounced on marshmallow clouds, and took a shower under a rainbow waterfall. Miru giggled quietly. I didn't know dreams could taste this sweet. He tucked the silly dream into his chest, feeling warm and happy. Just as he was about to head home, Miru noticed a house with a child who was still awake. The child was crying softly, all alone in the dark. There were no dreams in the room, not even a small one. Miru tilted his head. Why doesn't this child have a dream? He opened his chest, took one of the dreams he had collected, and gently placed it under the child's pillow. The child slowly stopped crying and finally began to smile in their sleep. Miru's heart felt lighter, but somehow even warmer. Back on Umarium, Miru entered the Hall of Dream Drops, where all the dreams were stored. He released his glowing dreams, watching them float and sparkle through the air before gently disappearing. An elder robot named Sero nodded with a smile. Well done, Miru. You didn't just collect dreams. You shared one too. Miru looked down shyly, then gave a proud little nod. From that night on, Miru visited Earth every evening. He collected joyful dreams. He gathered curious dreams. He comforted children with gentle, glowing dreams. Because every dream, happy or sad, sweet or strange, is a part of someone's heart. And so, Miru, the little robot, continues to float quietly through the night, gathering dreams with care and sharing them where they're needed most. Good night. May your dreams be kind and full of light.
The night of the moonboat ride. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Luna. She was 7 years old, full of curiosity, and she loved looking up at the stars. One quiet night, Luna sat by her window, holding a small paper boat in her hands. The sky outside sparkled with a million stars, like tiny diamonds dancing in the dark. Luna made a wish. She wished for an adventure, one that would take her far, far away, somewhere magical. Suddenly, a soft silver light filled her room. She looked up, and there it was, a glowing paper boat, just like hers, floated outside her window, sparkling with moonlight. Then she heard a whisper in the wind. Come, the tide waits for no dreamer. Luna's eyes widened. She took a deep breath stepped onto the glowing boat, and just like that, the boat lifted into the air. It shimmered and stretched into a graceful moonboat, sailing through the sky on an invisible river made of stars. As the moonboat glided, Luna hummed softly, "Row, row, moonboat, under midnight's glow." First, she met the starry otter, a playful creature with soft fur like twilight and eyes that sparkled like galaxies. The otter grinned and handed Luna a special gift, a little star, woven from starlight itself. Next, the moonboat floated past a giant, sleepy creature, the dozing cloud whale. It was made of swirling clouds and glowing nebulae, and when it snored, the aurora lights shimmered across the sky. Its breath was warm and gentle, and smelled just like stardust and vanilla. Then came the guardian of the silent hour, an old, wise owl with eyes like polished moonstones. The owl spoke in a voice like soft chimes. Dreams must return by dawn. Luna nodded quietly. She didn't want the journey to end, but she understood. At last, they arrived at Crescent Moon Harbor, a magical city built on the edge of the moon. There, children danced in their pajamas, sipped warm starlight from moonflower cups, and laughed as music whispered through the air. It was perfect, but soon the sky began to change. The first light of morning touched the stars. The moonboat shimmered and slowly began to fade. Luna felt a gentle tug, and when she opened her eyes, she was back in her bed. Everything was still, but on her pillow lay a single silver feather. Had it all been a dream? She looked toward her desk and gasped. Her little paper boat was still there, but now it shimmered softly in the morning sun. Just then, her father came in and tucked the covers around her. He smiled and whispered, "The best dreams find those who believe in them." Luna closed her eyes, smiling. Even if the moonboat ride had been a dream, a part of it stayed with her. In the silver feather, the shimmering boat, and the soft glow of magic still in her heart. Good night, little dreamer.
The Clay Coast Raccoons. Once upon a time, in a world made of soft clay and painted with bright colors, there lived a family of raccoons. Their little village was a sight to behold. It was built right into a big green hill that sloped down to the sparkling blue ocean. The houses were like little tree stumps, with cute wooden doors and roofs made of tiny, reddish-brown tiles. Winding stone paths and staircases connected all the homes, and big, fluffy green trees grew everywhere, like giant broccoli stalks. It was the most wonderful place to live. The raccoon family was very happy. There was Papa Raccoon, Mama Raccoon, and their 3 little kits, Riku, Rumi, and the youngest, a tiny rascal named Pip. Pip was the most curious of them all. He loved to explore and was always getting into something. One sunny morning, the whole family went on an adventure. Papa and Mama Raccoon helped everyone into their special little boat, which was carved from a smooth, brown log. It floated gently on the clear, turquoise water. Riku and Rumi giggled as they splashed their paws in the cool waves, but Pip sat very still, holding a little orange pot. It was his job to hold the pot for their lunch, which they planned to fill with yummy seaweed and shiny little fish. They paddled far out, enjoying the sunshine and the salty sea breeze. Later that day, after their boat ride, they were back on land. While Mama and Papa were busy gathering some berries, Pip, the little explorer, spotted a tall, twisty tree that was bigger than all the others. Its trunk was rough and bumpy, like a giant chocolate log. Pip, being the adventurous kit he was, decided he just had to climb it. He wiggled his little bottom and used his sharp claws to scurry up the tree. He climbed and climbed, all the way to a high branch. From up there, the whole world looked different. He could see their little clay village and the whole big ocean. He sat on the branch, feeling like the king of the world, his dark, curious eyes watching everything below. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in colors of orange and pink, the raccoon family gathered for dinner. They sat on a big, flat rock, with leaves and bright red berries scattered all around. Mama and Papa Raccoon were busy stirring a big metal pot, filled with a delicious stew they had made from their morning's catch and all the yummy things they had found. The stew smelled amazing. Riku and Rumi helped by holding smaller bowls, while Pip watched with a big smile, his little stomach rumbling with hunger. The family chatted and laughed as they shared their delicious meal, surrounded by the beautiful sights and sounds of their home. It was the best day ever, full of fun, adventure, and the warm, happy feeling of being together.
The Sleepy Alpaca's Warmth Adventure. On a quiet night under a sky full of twinkling stars, there stood a particularly striking mountain. At its base lived a family of adorable, fluffy alpacas. During the day, the alpacas munched on grass and basked lazily in the sun, but as night fell, they all grew sleepy and began preparing for their journey into the world of dreams. Among them, the sleepiest of all was a little alpaca named Milk. Milk always had drowsy, half-lidded eyes, and his fluffy body radiated warmth that made anyone want to hug him. He was the biggest cuddler in the family, always snuggling close to his mother. One evening, Milk said to his mother, "I want to explore more warmth." His mother smiled and replied, "Then tonight, you should go on a special adventure." Excited, Milk set off into the night. As he wandered along the dark mountain path, he soon came across a small pond shimmering under the moonlight. The stars reflected on its surface, creating a breathtaking sight. Milk nestled close to the water, mesmerized by its beauty. Suddenly, the pond rippled, and a tiny frog popped its head out. "Good evening, little alpaca. What brings you out here all alone?" the frog asked. "I'm searching for warmth," Milk answered. The frog chuckled. "Then come along with me. The night forest holds even more wonderful warmth." Guided by the frog, Milk ventured deeper into the woods. Moonlight filtered through the trees, casting a magical glow. As they walked, they met all sorts of creatures, bunnies hopping about, owls soaring gracefully, filling the quiet night with gentle liveliness. The bunnies invited Milk to play, and as he romped with them, he felt his heart grow warm. But soon, the playful alpaca began to yawn. Just a little further, the frog encouraged. Something even more special awaits. Though hesitant, Milk trusted his friend and pressed on. At last, they arrived beneath a towering tree covered in soft, cushiony moss, like a giant bed. "This is the forest spirit's place of warmth," the frog explained. Milk curled up on the moss, wrapped in comfort. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves, and the whispers of the forest creatures lulled him into deep relaxation. This, he realized, was the warmth he had been searching for. Before long, he drifted into dreams, happy ones, filled with his family's laughter and his mother's loving voice. When dawn broke, sunlight bathed the forest in gold. Milk woke to find the frog sitting beside him. "Good morning, little alpaca. Did you have sweet dreams?" Milk smiled. "Yes, the sweetest. I'm glad I went searching for warmth." The frog nodded. "Maybe warmth is found in the gentle moments we share with others." Taking those words to heart, Milk breathed in the crisp morning air. Birds sang, dew sparkled on the grass, and the world stirred awake. "I should head home now," Milk said. "Then farewell," the frog waved. "The forest will always welcome you." On his way back, Milk passed the pond again, now reflecting the morning sky as if waving goodbye. When he arrived home, his mother greeted him warmly. "Welcome back, Milk. Did you find your warmth?" Nuzzling close, Milk closed his eyes and murmured, "The moss bed was warm, the bunnies were warm. My adventure with the frog was warm, but the warmest place of all is right here with you." His mother hugged him tightly, and the two snuggled into their fluffy embrace. As sunlight spilled into their home, Milk closed his eyes once more and drifted back into peaceful sleep. The end.
The Little Dreamer Whale. Deep in the vast blue ocean lived a little whale named Kai. He was small, but his heart was full of big questions and even bigger dreams. He loved to swim close to his mother, feeling safe and warm in her shadow. One sunny morning, as the light danced on the waves above, Kai felt a pull, a tiny tug of adventure calling him further than he had ever been. Just a little peek, he thought, wiggling his tail with excitement. He swam past schools of shimmering fish who darted and weaved like living rainbows. He watched them play, their scales catching the light, and felt a thrill of discovery. The ocean was so much bigger than he knew. Soon, Kai found himself far from the familiar, in a part of the ocean he'd never seen. Giant kelp forests swayed gently, reaching up towards the light like underwater trees, and strange, beautiful creatures peeked from hidden caves. He spotted a wise old sea turtle, its shell covered in ancient patterns, slowly munching on some seaweed. "Hello," squeaked Kai, a little shy. The turtle blinked slowly. "Lost, little one?" she asked, her voice like soft waves. "Not lost, just exploring," Kai replied, puffing out his chest a little. "But it is very big out here." Sheldon chuckled. "The ocean is full of wonders, Kai, but even the biggest adventurers need rest." Kai thanked Sheldon and continued his journey, feeling a little tired now that the sun was beginning to set, painting the water in shades of orange and purple. He missed his warm spot by his mother. He found a quiet, sheltered cove where the water was still and calm. He yawned a big whale yawn, his adventure making him very sleepy. He closed his eyes, drifting into a peaceful slumber. And as he slept, Kai dreamt. He dreamt of flying through the starlit sky, his fins like wings, soaring above the clouds. Below him, the ocean sparkled like a million diamonds. He dreamt of singing with all the whales in the world, their voices echoing through the water, creating beautiful melodies that filled the entire ocean with joy. It was the most wonderful dream a little whale could ever have. When Kai awoke, the ocean was hushed and silvery. The moon above shone through the water, casting a trail of light that seemed to point the way home. He stretched his fins and blinked sleepily, wondering if the stars had been watching over him the whole night. Just as he began to swim, a soft glow flickered nearby. Curious, Kai followed the sparkle until he found a cluster of tiny jellyfish drifting together like floating lanterns. They pulsed gently, glowing pink, blue, and gold, lighting up the dark water like a magical festival. "Wow," Kai whispered, his eyes wide. The jellyfish swayed in rhythm, and for a moment he imagined they were dancing just for him. Further along, Kai heard a faint humming sound. He followed it and discovered a pod of dolphins leaping and twirling through the waves above. They noticed him right away. "Come play!" one called, its voice cheerful and bright. Kai darted upward, joining their joyful dance. The dolphins spun in spirals and raced in circles, and Kai tried his best to keep up, his little pail working hard. He laughed, a bubbly sound that rose to the surface, and for the first time, he felt not so small after all. But as the night went on, Kai began to feel that tug again, the gentle pull of home. He remembered his mother's warm shadow, her steady songs that made the whole world feel safe. The dolphins noticed his gaze drifting and slowed their play. "Time to go back?" they asked kindly. Kai nodded. "Yes, I think she's waiting for me." So they guided him part of the way, weaving through coral arches and across sandy plains until the water grew warmer, more familiar. The dolphins waved goodbye into the moonlight, their silhouettes vanishing into the horizon. At last, Kai spotted her, his mother resting quietly, her massive shape outlined in silver light. She lifted her head as he swam close, her eyes full of relief and love. "There you are, my little dreamer," she murmured, wrapping him in the shelter of her fin. "Did you find what you were looking for?" Kai nestled against her side, feeling the steady rhythm of her heartbeat. "Yes, I think I did. The ocean is so big, Mama, bigger than I ever imagined. But I think no matter where I go, I'll always want to come back here. Her mother sang a low, soothing note, a lullaby that wrapped around him like a blanket. Safe and warm, Kai drifted once more into dreams, this time of tomorrow's adventures waiting just beyond the horizon.
The Guardian of the Islands. A long, long time ago, in the middle of the wide, blue sea, there were 3 beautiful islands. They were not far from each other, and each one had its own wonders. On the first island, lemurs hopped between rocks, chasing each other under the bright sun. Tiny lizards warmed themselves on the stones, and crabs scuttled sideways along the shore. On the second island, monkeys swung through the trees, laughing as they raced from branch to branch. Bright flowers grew everywhere, and sweet fruit hung heavy from the vines. On the third island, small deer with soft brown eyes nibbled on grass in the meadows, while turtles rested on sunny beaches and colorful birds painted the sky with their wings. But in the very middle of them all was the island of Koro. Koro was a huge, strong gorilla, taller than any other animal in the islands. His arms were as strong as the roots of the oldest trees. His eyes were as warm as the morning sun, and his heart was kinder than the gentlest breeze. The animals called him the Forest Father. Whenever there was trouble, they came to Koro, and Koro always helped. One day, the sea began to whisper. The wind grew stronger. Clouds covered the sun. The whisper turned into a howl. The waves began to crash against the shore. Thunder rumbled far away, and flashes of lightning danced inside the clouds. On the first island, the small animals grew afraid. The lemurs hugged each other. The deer looked for a place to hide. Birds circled in the air, calling out warnings. They all knew a great storm was coming. Koro saw the danger from his island. He climbed to the very top of the tallest cliff, and he roared. It was not an angry roar. It was a call, a warning, a guide. In the eastern forest, there is a big, safe cave. Go there, go quickly. The lemurs held each other's tails, forming a long chain as they ran. The deer lifted their babies onto their backs. The birds flew ahead, showing the way. Even the crabs and lizards hurried toward the forest. Soon, they all reached the cave. The wind howled outside. The rain poured down, but inside, they were safe. They waited together, listening to the storm, until it passed. When the skies cleared, Koro went to the second island. The sun shone again, and the rivers sparkled like silver ribbons. Bananas hung from tall trees, and flowers opened to drink the fresh rain. But the animals here were still worried. Some whispered, maybe only the big and strong animals should stay together. That would keep us safe. Koro shook his head slowly. No, The strong need the small. The fast need the careful. We all need each other. Remember the storm? It was everyone, together, that made it through. The monkeys thought about it. Then one monkey climbed down, picked a banana, and shared it with a tiny bird. The lemurs began grooming the bird's feathers. The turtles let little frogs ride on their backs. And the animals smiled, realizing Koro was right. Last, Koro traveled to the third island. Here, the sea was calm, and clouds drifted slowly across the sky. The air smelled of flowers and salt. In the middle of the island stood a great tree, its roots soft with moss, its branches high enough to touch the clouds. Koro sat under the tree. Deer grazed nearby. Young monkeys raced each other to the top branches. Birds sang sweet songs, and butterflies danced in the warm air. An old turtle slowly walked up to Koro and asked, "Koro, why do you help everyone so much?" Koro smiled. These islands are beautiful because of the animals who live here. If they can laugh and live without fear, that makes me happy. And so the 3 islands stayed safe and happy. In sunshine and in storms, the animals helped each other. And Koro's watchful heart never wavered. His strength was not only in his arms or his roar, but in his kindness and his courage to protect those he loved. And that is why even today, the animals still tell the story of Koro, the guardian of the islands.
The Owl Who Delivers Midnight Letters. In a quiet village, as the people drifted to sleep beneath a starry sky, the moonlight softly illuminated the ground. In this village lived a special owl named Owl, a messenger of the night. But Owl was no ordinary owl. He was a magical creature with the duty of delivering the villagers' heartfelt messages. Every night, he would take letters from a small letterbox somewhere in the village and fly off to deliver them to their recipients. Tonight, too, Owl stood before the letterbox at the edge of the village. He spread his white wings, gazed up at the night sky, and took a deep breath. "All right, time to get to work," he thought excitedly, as he began reading each letter one by one. The first letter was from a little girl to her grandmother. "Grandma, I'm coming to visit this weekend. Let's bake cookies together." With the letter held firmly in his beak, Owl checked the next address and silently took off into the sky. Gliding over the village, his feathers shimmered beautifully under the moonlight like scattered stars. He flew to the grandmother's house and landed softly near her window. Giving a gentle tap, the grandmother noticed the sound and opened the window in surprise. "Oh, Owl, you've brought me another letter tonight," she said with a smile as she accepted it. The next letter Owl carried was a love confession from a young man to his sweetheart. Meeting you has made me so happy. I want to be with you forever. Holding those heartfelt words close, Owl flew to her house. Landing by her bedroom window, he gently placed the letter outside as he watched her sleeping peacefully. Once again, Owl soared into the night to deliver the next letter. This time it was from an elderly couple. Our love grows deeper with each passing year. Let's stay together always. Carrying the warm message in his beak, Owl flew to their home. As he perched near their window, he pictured the two still holding hands lovingly. When the couple woke and found the letter, they smiled at each other joyfully, filling Owl's heart with warmth. One after another, Owl continued delivering letters. Each time he bridged the villagers' feelings, his own heart felt fuller. Eventually, the night grew late, and the village was wrapped in silence. The final letter was an apology from one villager to another. I hurt you, and I'm truly sorry. Owl carried the letter carefully, hoping it would mend their broken bond. By the time he finished his deliveries, dawn was approaching. Gazing over the village, Owl felt a deep satisfaction. Another wonderful night, he whispered, preparing to return to his nest. As he settled in, Owl reflected on the night's events, ready to drift into a peaceful slumber. In his dreams, he imagined the letters bringing happiness to the villagers, their faces warm with smiles. The midnight letter-delivering owl, Owl, had once again fulfilled his precious role, connecting hearts in the village before quietly journeying into the world of dreams amidst the stillness of the night.
Luna and the Starlight Meadow. In a cozy little house at the edge of a sleepy village, lived a small cat named Luna. Luna wasn't just any cat. She was as white as freshly fallen snow, with eyes the color of polished emeralds. While other cats were excellent at napping in sunbeams or chasing dust bunnies, Luna had a special gift. She loved the night. When the moon rose, big and silver, Luna would feel a gentle tingle in her paws. She would slip out of her cozy basket, give a soft stretch, and pad silently to the window. The world at night was not dark and scary to her. It was painted in shades of blue and silver, and it was full of secrets. One evening, Luna saw something new. A tiny, glowing speck had landed on her windowsill. It was a firefly, but it seemed tired, and its light flickered weakly. "Hello," Luna whispered, her voice as soft as a dandelion puff. "Are you lost?" The firefly blinked a sad, dim light. "I am," it hummed. "My family is in the Starlight Meadow, but I flew too far and now I'm too tired to find my way back. Without my light, I'm invisible." Luna's heart felt heavy. She knew what it was like to feel small in the big, dark night. "Don't worry," she said, nuzzling the tiny insect gently with her nose. "I will help you. My white fur shines in the moonlight. You can ride on my head, and together, we will be a beacon." The little firefly perched gratefully between Luna's ears. "Answer," the little white cat and the fading firefly set off into the night. They walked through shadowy gardens where sleeping flowers dreamed. They tiptoed past a pond that held the moon like a shiny pearl. Luna's fur glowed softly, lighting their path. Along the way, they met other night creatures. A wise old owl, perched on a branch, hooted, "Who goes there, so bright and brave?" "I am Luna," she replied, "and I am helping a friend find the starlight meadow." "The meadow is far," the owl said, "beyond the whispering woods. But follow the path where the forget-me-nots grow. They remember the way, even in the dark." Thanking the owl, Luna continued. Deeper in the woods, the shadows grew longer. The little firefly's light was now just a faint glimmer. Luna began to feel a little nervous. What if she couldn't find the way? Just then, she remembered her own gift. She wasn't just a white cat, she was a moonlight cat. She sat down, closed her emerald eyes, and thought of the gentle, silvery moonbeams. She imagined them touching her fur, filling her with a soft, steady light. When she opened her eyes, something wonderful was happening. Her white fur was glowing brighter, as if she had swallowed a little piece of the moon itself. The path ahead was now clear. Encouraged, she hurried on, following the forget-me-nots until the trees thinned out. And then, she saw it. The starlight meadow. It was the most beautiful place Luna had ever seen. The grass was tipped with silver dew, and thousands of fireflies danced in the air, weaving patterns of light like living constellations. In the center of the meadow stood an ancient, glowing tree whose leaves shimmered with a soft, internal light. The little firefly on her head gave a joyful buzz. Its own light suddenly flared back to life, bright and strong. "I'm home," it hummed. The firefly zipped off Luna's head and was immediately surrounded by its joyful family. The whole meadow seemed to pulse with happiness. The fireflies swirled around Luna, touching her fur with their lights until she was covered in tiny, sparkling kisses of gratitude. "You helped our lost one," the leader of the fireflies hummed. "You are always welcome in the starlight meadow, little moon cat. Your kindness has made you a part of our light." Luna sat for a while, watching the dance of lights, feeling warm and happy. When she finally padded home, the first rays of the sun were painting the sky pink. She slipped back inside, curled up in her basket, and fell into a deep, contented sleep. And from that night on, if you looked very carefully on a moonlit evening, you might see a little white cat with a softly glowing coat, visiting the meadow where the fireflies dance, forever a friend of the night and the keeper of its gentle secrets. Now, close your eyes, little one. Maybe tonight, you'll dream of a glowing white cat and a meadow full of starlight. Sweet dreams.
The Magic Writing Feather. Chapter 1. The discovery in the Addison, a cozy little house at the end of a winding lane, lived a young boy named Leo. Leo loved stories more than anything in the world. He loved reading them, hearing them, and most of all, he dreamed of writing his own. But every time he tried, the words seemed stuck, jumbled up in his head like a tangled ball of yarn. His sentences felt plain, and his ideas felt small. One rainy afternoon, while exploring his grandmother's dusty attic, Leo stumbled upon an old, wooden chest carved with strange swirling patterns. With a creak, he lifted the lid. Inside, nestled on a bed of faded velvet, was the most beautiful object he had ever seen, a magnificent feather pen. It was long and sleek, with a plume of iridescent feathers that shimmered like a peacock's tail in the dim light. The shaft was made of dark, polished wood, warm to the touch. It seemed to hum with a silent, waiting energy. Curious, Leo picked it up. As his fingers closed around the shaft, a gentle warmth spread up his arm. A bottle of deep blue ink, which he hadn't noticed before, sat beside it. Without quite knowing why, Leo uncorked the ink, dipped the feather pen, and opened his empty notebook. His hand began to move almost by itself. He wasn't writing words. He was simply drawing a feeling, a looping, joyful squiggle. To his astonishment, the squiggle lifted off the page, it danced in the air before him like a tiny, happy comet. leaving a shimmering trail of light before fading away. Leo's heart hammered with excitement. He had just discovered something truly magical. Chapter 2. The first story that night, under the glow of his bedside lamp, Leo decided to try again. He dipped the magic writing feather into the ink and concentrated. This time, he formed words. A tiny, cinnamon-colored mouse with bright, curious eyes is reading a book on my windowsill. The ink on the page glowed a soft gold. There was a soft pop, and suddenly, there it was. A tiny mouse, wearing miniature spectacles, was hunched over a book no bigger than a postage stamp. It looked up, nodded politely to a stunned Leo, and went back to its reading. Leo gasped. He had done it. He had written a story and made it real. Over the next few days, Leo's room became a portal to wonderful, small adventures. He wrote about a pillow that turned into a friendly cloud and floated around his room. He wrote about a teacup that never ran out of warm, sweet cocoa. He wrote about a castle made of gingerbread, and for a whole hour, his room smelled of baking spices and sugar. But Leo noticed something. Each time he made a story real, the shimmer in the feather's plume faded just a little bit. The bottle of ink, which never seemed to run out, grew slightly lighter. The magic, he realized, was not endless. Chapter 3. The Promise and the Probalmone Evening. Leo went to visit his next-door neighbor and best friend, Mrs. Albright. She was a kind, older woman who had always told Leo the most fantastic stories when he was younger. But lately, she had been sad. Her old dog, Barnaby, had passed away, and her house felt too big and too quiet. Seeing his friend so lonely gave Leo an idea, a wonderful, terrifying idea. He ran home, fetched the magic writing feather and his notebook, and sat at his desk with determined focus. He wanted to write the most important story of his life. He wanted to write a new friend for Mrs. Albright. He dipped the pen. The ink swirled in the bottle, looking shallower than ever. He began to write. There is a little dog with soft, floppy ears and a tail that wags like a happy metronome. His fur is the color of toasted marshmallows, and his name is... Suddenly, the doorbell rang downstairs. Leo jumped, his hands slipping. A large blot of ink splattered across the page, obscuring the dog's name. At that same moment, the shimmer in the feather vanished completely. The plume turned dull and gray. The magic was gone. Leo's heart sank. The story was unfinished. The magic was spent. He had failed. Chapter 4. The True Magic. Dejected, Leo took the dull feather and the notebook downstairs. It was Mrs. Albright at the door, holding a plate of freshly baked cookies. "You left this in my garden yesterday, Leo," she said. Handing him his notebook, the page with the ink blot was visible. Leo's eyes welled up with tears. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Albright. I tried to write you a story, a happy one, but I ruined it." Double quotes. Mrs. Albright smiled gently and invited him in. She looked at the blot of ink. "A story doesn't have to be perfect to be good, Leo. Sometimes, the best ones are the ones we finish together." She picked up a simple pencil from her side table. "What were you trying to write?" "A dog," Leo whispered. "For you. I wanted to write you a dog to keep you company." Mrs. Albright's eyes grew soft. "Oh, Leo, what a beautiful thought." She looked at the ink blot. "You know, this blot looks rather like a spot. Maybe he has a spot over his eye?" She handed the pencil to Leo. "You don't need a magic feather to tell a story, my dear. You just need a heart that wants to share one." Hesitantly, Leo took the pencil. He began to draw around the ink blot, giving it a shape. Mrs. Albright suggested floppy ears. Leo added a wagging tail. Together, they drew a goofy, happy, perfect dog on the page. They named him Inky. And as they drew and talked and laughed, weaving a story about Inky's love for chasing butterflies and digging up tulip bulbs, Leo felt a familiar warmth. It wasn't coming from the feather. It was blooming in his chest. He was writing a story, a real one, with his friend. Chapter 5. A different kind of magic. Leo visited Mrs. Albright every day after that. They would sit and write stories together about the adventures of Inky the dog. They filled a whole notebook. Leo discovered that the words weren't stuck anymore. They flowed, easily, inspired by his friend's laughter and his own imagination. One morning, weeks later, Leo was cleaning his room. He went to put the dull, gray feather back in its box. As he picked it up, he noticed something. At the very tip, a single, tiny filament of the feather was glowing with a faint, soft light. The magic hadn't died. It had just changed. It had shown him that the greatest magic wasn't in making stories real, it was in sharing them. The feather's final gift was not a magical dog, but the confidence to find his own voice. That night, Leo didn't write about magical creatures or floating clouds. He took a simple pencil and wrote a story about a boy, an old woman, and a friendship drawn in pencil and ink. And as he wrote the last word, he knew, deep down, that it was the most magical story he would ever tell. The end. Sweet dreams, little storyteller. May your dreams be filled with wonderful tales.
The little lighthouse's good night. On a small, rocky island at the edge of a sleepy fishing village stood a lighthouse named Leo. Leo wasn't very big, but he was very important. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and lavender, Leo's keeper, an old, kind man named Silas, would wind the clockwork and light the great lamp. With a soft click hum, Leo's beam would begin to turn, a brilliant, steady finger of light sweeping across the dark, swirling sea. Flash, sweep, flash, sweep. For years, this was Leo's purpose. His light guided fishermen home through fog, showed lost sailboats the way, and kept the big ships from stumbling on the jagged rocks. Leo loved his job. He loved the cheerful toots of thanks from the boats and the way the village windows glowed like tiny land stars in response to his own light. But one summer, a new, big, modern lighthouse was built on the distant mainland. Its beam was so powerful it could be seen for miles and miles. On its first night, the mayor came to see Silas. Silas, the mayor said, the new lighthouse can do the work of 10 little Leos. You can rest now. Leo can rest too. That very night, Silas did not wind the clockwork. The great lamp remained dark. Leo felt very strange. The sky grew dark, the stars came out, and for the first time he could remember, he did not shine. He felt useless and very, very small. He watched the new lighthouse's beam stab confidently through the darkness. They don't need me anymore, he thought, his heart feeling heavy. But soon he began to hear voices, not the big, booming horns of ocean liners, but small, worried whispers on the wind. Pardon me, squeaked a tiny voice from below. Leo looked down. It was a family of field mice, huddled on a rock, looking confused. We use your light to find our way to the berry patches in the evening. Everything is so dark now. Then, a flutter of wings. A little storm petrel, a seabird, landed on his railing. I'm lost, she chirped. I always use your friendly flash to know I'm near my nest. That big new light is so bright. It hurts my eyes. Next, a soft voice bubbled up from the water. It was a seal pup. I was playing too far from shore. It whimpered. My mom told me to always swim towards the little flashing light. Now I can't find her. Leo's heart sank. He hadn't realized that his light wasn't just for the big ships. It was a good night signal for all the small creatures of the coast. Just then, Silas, who had been listening from his cottage, came out. He had heard the worried voices too. He patted Leo's whitewashed wall. "I was wrong, old friend," he said softly. "A light doesn't have to be the biggest or the brightest to be important. It just has to be there for those who need it." With a determined smile, Silas went inside Leo and began to wind the clockwork. Click. And then, with a warm, familiar glow, Leo's light burst forth. Flash, sweep, flash, sweep. It wasn't as powerful as the new lighthouse's beam, but it was friendly, steady, and comforting. A cheer went up from the rocks as the field mice scurried happily towards their berries. The little storm petrel gave a joyful chirp and soared straight towards her nest. And the seal pup, seeing the friendly flash, barked with relief as his mother soon swam up to nuzzle him. Leo shone all night, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. He was the little lighthouse, saying goodnight to all the small, important things. To the mice in the bowls, to the birds and the seals, to the crabs scuttling along the shore, and to the children in the village who, seeing his friendly flash from their windows, knew that all was well and it was safe to drift into their dreams. And so, every night, you can still see him. His light says nothing loud or boastful. It simply whispers, in a language of gentle flashes, "Good night. Good night. All is well. Good night." Now, close your eyes, and maybe if you dream very hard, you might just see the friendly, flashing glow of the little lighthouse, wishing you a good night, too. Sweet dreams.
The Tree That Talked to the Wind. Once upon a time, a little girl named Alara lived next to a big, friendly forest. Her very favorite spot was under a giant, twisty old tree called the Listening Oak. One evening, as the sun was going to sleep, Alara leaned on the tree and whispered, "I wish I knew what the wind was singing." Just then, the leaves above her went swish, swish, swish. It wasn't a voice, but a feeling. She felt like she was at the beach, hearing the waves go crash and smelling the salty air. Alara's eyes got very wide. "Did you just show me the ocean?" she asked. The leaves rustled again. This time, she felt a big sunny field with pretty flowers and a bird flying way up high. Alara giggled. She understood. The old tree couldn't talk with words, but it could talk with feelings. It used the wind to share its stories. Every day after that, Alara visited her tree friend. It showed her pictures in her mind of snowy mountains, sandy deserts, and rushing rivers. The tree told her all the wind's best stories. But one day, something was wrong. Everything was quiet. The wind was gone. The tree's leaves were sad and droopy. The forest was too still. Alara was worried. She hugged the tree tight and asked, "Where is the wind?" A feeling popped into her head. The wind was stuck. A giant rock had fallen and was blocking its path high up on a mountain. Alara knew she had to help, but she was too little to move a big rock. So she had a great idea. She asked her animal friends for help. She told the squirrels told the deer told the mountain goats found some friendly rock spirits on the mountain. The rock spirits were very strong. They pushed and pushed until
rumble! They moved the giant rock just enough. Whoosh! The wind burst out, happy and free. It flew over the hills, through the fields, and right back into Elara's forest. It danced around the listening oak, and the leaves sang the happiest song Elara had ever heard. Elara smiled. She had helped save the wind stories, and that made her a very important part of the story, too. The end.
The Boy Who Painted Dreams. In a quiet village nestled between rolling hills and a whispering forest, lived a boy named Elian. Elian was a quiet child with eyes the color of a summer sky and hands that were never quite clean. For you see, Elian was a painter. But he didn't paint on ordinary canvases or with ordinary paints. Elian painted dreams. Each morning, when the first rays of sun tickled the rooftops, Elian would wake up, his mind buzzing with colors from the night before. He would rush to his little attic room, where pots of starlight silver, moonbeam white, and laughter gold shimmered on his windowsill. With a brush made from the softest feather of a sleeping owl, he would begin to paint. He didn't paint what he saw, he painted what he felt in his dreams. One day, he painted a towering castle made of swirling, transparent blues and greens. That was old Mr. Higgins' dream, he whispered to his mother. He was dreaming of swimming in the ocean again, like he did as a young man. And sure enough, when Mr. Higgins came to buy bread, he had a spring in his step and a salty smile on his face. Another time, Elian painted a flurry of tiny, bright yellow orbs dancing around a single, gentle, pink flower. That's little Clara's dream, he said. She was dreaming of fireflies having a party in her garden. Clara, who had been afraid of the dark, woke up that morning and asked if she could leave the window open, just in case her new friends wanted to visit. Elian's paintings were beautiful and strange. They didn't always make sense to the waking eye, but they held a magic that made the villagers feel warm and hopeful. But one night, Elian had a dream unlike any other. It was not a dream of color and light, but one of shadows and silence. He saw a great, gray fog creeping over the village, and in the fog, everyone slept, but their faces were pinched and worried. There were no dreams in the fog, only quiet, empty sleep. He woke up feeling heavy and cold. He went to his paints, but his brush felt clumsy. He tried to paint the fog, but the colors turned to mud on his paper. He tried to paint the silence, but it just looked like an empty, white space. A deep sadness settled in his heart. For the first time, he couldn't paint the dream. That night, the gray fog from his dream slipped into the village. The next morning, people woke up tired and grumpy. The baker burned the bread. Friends argued over nothing. The village was draped in a blanket of gloom. No one had dreamed at all. Elian knew he had to do something. He sat in his attic, staring at the muddy, failed paintings. He thought about the feeling of the dream, the cold silence, the lonely emptiness. And then he realized his mistake. He was trying to paint the fog. But what you fight, you give power to. What he needed to paint was what the fog had taken away. He closed his eyes and didn't think about the gray. He thought about the warmth of Mr. Higgins' ocean. He remembered the joy in Clara's firefly dance. He gathered every happy, colorful, loving dream he had ever painted and held them in his heart. With a deep breath, he dipped his brush not into one pot, but into all of them. He swirled together laughter gold, starlight silver, friendship orange, and hope blue. On a large, clean sheet, he began to paint. He didn't paint a thing. He painted a feeling, a great, swirling, brilliant vortex of color that looked like a sunrise singing a lullaby. It was a painting of dream itself. As he put the final brush stroke, a wonderful thing happened. The painting began to glow. The colors lifted off the paper, not as a mist, but as a gentle, radiant light. It floated out of his window, a silent firework of pure dream stuff. The light spread over the village, seeping under doors and through keyholes. It touched the forehead of every sleeping person. That night, the villagers dreamed. They dreamed of soaring on the backs of birds, of feasts with long-lost loved ones, of solving great puzzles, and of simple, quiet moments of perfect peace. The next morning, the grey fog was gone. The village woke up refreshed, their hearts light. They didn't know why, but they felt that everything was going to be all right. Elian looked out his window at the smiling faces below. He looked at his hands, stained with every color of the rainbow. He had learned that the most important dreams to paint are not just the happy ones, but the ones that chase away the shadows. He was not just the boy who painted dreams. He was the keeper of the night's magic, and with his gentle heart and his feathered brush, he would always make sure that even on the darkest nights, a little light could find its way in. And with that thought warming him like a blanket, he smiled, ready for a good day's rest, and perhaps a wonderful dream of his own. Sweet dreams.